Hello, good evening.
I couldn't have timed that better myself.
Yeah, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I just want to point out the elephant in the room here, that it's not Peter and Andy on a Sunday, it's Peter and Davy.
Oh, Stephen. Oh,
it's okay,
Stephen.
It's only been almost a year that I've been doing this, you know what I mean? Anyway.
I'm involved with too many things, that's the other problem. Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful to see so many people joining us out there. If you're joining us for the first time, I hope you enjoy the show. If you're not, you know the procedure. Keep sharing the link about for us, see if we can build up the numbers as much as possible. It's all right. We'll forgive you, Stephen.
It's okay, yeah. Millions wouldn't.
Right, folks, we've got two fantastic guests for you. Really brilliant guests. We've got Karen Tweed, the accordion player. She's a phenomenal box player, great styles and great story, and been a working musician for how many years now? Brilliant. And we also have from Ireland tonight, we've got Manus McGuire coming on. Manus, the fiddle player. One of the nicest people I've met, as well as one of the best fiddlers as well. Just a fantastic guy, Manus. So we have got end-to-end music packed out for you tonight. So
speaking of end-to-end,
yes,
I just want to point out that Mr. Meek, who is a regular viewer, was running end-to-end on the rugby pitch yesterday for a charity game.
Was he?
Yeah. There's pictures as well. Oh. Great. He was supposed to do a short amount of it and end up doing the full game. So well done to him and the rest of the guys
well
who raised some money for charity.
Gee whiz, it'll be Murrayfield next. Next stop,
Murrayfield. Joiner, like.
Yeah, for a time. I think we'll have some music tonight just to kind of ease us in. There's Joe. Hi, Joe. Hi, Alec. Yeah. Oh, your pipes were singing on Saturday.
I was piping at it.
Oh, were you? Were you piping at it as well?
I was, yeah. It was a charity event, so we piped. Me and Rav from the band piped on the teams, and
What
then
charity?
played
What charity was it for?
Andy Mann's.
Oh,
The mental
well
health
done,
charity.
guys.
So
It's good to keep things going. Well, we've not been that exciting, but we were up at Sand Gardens in Shetland yesterday, and there's thousands of frogs everywhere. So my children were majorly impressed. There's just frogs everywhere. So they were just
there's
very
thousands of frogs at Sand Garden.
Yeah, in Shetland. It's a long way to go and see frogs, but they're cool. So anyway, listen, here's a wee tune tonight that I'm going to play. It's a tune that Alan Smith wrote for a friend of all ours. It was a fellow called Ali Mack from Benesson in Island of Mull. And Ali was a fantastic drummer. He used to play with people like the Wallach Moor and things like that sometimes. And Ali, unfortunately, was taken for us far too young. But he was really into the rallying and things as well. So the boys went over, they used to go to Ireland, I think, to a rally or something like that. And they spread his ashes at this place that he really liked. And it was called Ballymastoker Bay, apparently. So Alan wrote this solo air for him, and it's very poignant and touching. So obviously the videos are of Shetland, they're not Ballymastoker Bay, but because I've never been to Ballymastoker Bay. But here's the wee solo air that Alan Smith wrote for Ali Mack, and it's a beauty.
Here we go.
There we go. That was Ballymastoker Bay by Alan Smith from Kirkfield Bank in Lanarkshire. lovely tune for Ali McIntyre from Benesson. There's lots and lots of comments coming in, folks. Please keep the comments in. We'll love to see the comments coming in as much as possible. Let us know where you are. Remember, we're going out live on lots of Facebook channels, pages rather. We're on Music from Scotland. We're on Tartan Tunes. We are on Peterwood Music. We are on Tunes in the Hoofs and Scotland Online. Am I right? And we are also going out live on YouTube and Twitter at the same time. Now, as I was saying, we've got some brilliant guests coming up tonight. So I hope you are going to enjoy them. And the first guest, Karen Tweed, we have coming on. I think what we'll do here is play a set of reels that Karen's giving us in a video here to have a wee listen to. You're going to have a wonderful night of music tonight, folks, with Karen Tweed and Manus McGuire and some awful nice chat as well. So here we go. Let's try a set from Karen, a set of reels. Live in Orkney, I think. Brilliant. And here we have Miss Karen Tweed. How are you doing, Karen?
I'm doing very well, Peter. How are you both, Peter and Davey?
Yeah, we're good. Good. How are you getting on?
Very well indeed now in Orkney.
Brilliant. You've had a very busy week as well.
Yeah, very busy week. We've just been doing great teaching accordions at Coy Lou in Orkney. It was the first time we've done that at the Kristen Linklater Voice Centre, and I've been working with a fantastic accordion player called Karen Tweed, who plays everything really, but she's an amazing jazz player as well as all sorts of different styles. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Great time.
It's just great to rub shoulders with these people as well, isn't it? And hear and get new ideas and just that.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's incredibly inspiring. If you ever get a chance, Karen Tweed, and I think her website is karentweed.com. Could you go and have a look at that? She's so beautiful music.
Fantastic. That was a cracking wee set of reels. I think that was Little Orkney, wasn't it, that we just heard?
It was. That was at the reel. That's right. Rosemary Wrigley took it. And you were saying about what was I saying in the middle of the piece? Well, I'd introduced the tunes, and I couldn't remember who'd written the last tune. And in the middle of the piece, I remembered it was, Dave Richardson. So that's why I stopped and said Dave Richardson. That's why everybody laughed, because I couldn't remember the composer before.
Fantastic. You have been playing accordion for a very, very long time now. You started on piano, though, did you? Did you start on piano?
No. I started on a melodica. One of these plastic keyboard things that you blow into. That's right. That's what I started on.
That's what got your interest. And then you were brought up. Were you brought up in London? Am I right in saying that?
I was born in London, but then when I was 3, our whole family moved up to Northamptonshire, and so Northamptonshire was interesting. Where we lived was a place called Wellingborough, but not far from there was a place called Corby, and Corby had a huge steelworks, and a lot of Scottish people came down there. So they used to call Corby Little Scotland, because everybody in Corby had a Scottish accent. It's amazing. Yeah,
I've heard that. And Burn suppers in Corby are very popular, as is Iron Brew and things.
It's also one of the biggest pipe band competitions in England in Corby.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise. And still, it's still the same.
You still.
In fact, am I wrong? Was the World Championships not in Corby one year when they used to move about? One of them was.
Possibly.
There was one down. Anyway, wonderful that you've come on to join us. We've had an up and down couple of years as musicians. It's been all over the place as artists in general. And it's nice to see some things getting back. Like you've been able to do a workshop week again and things like that as well. Is there some gigs starting to come in again as well and things? Or
well, the Orkney Folk Festival is going live this year, which is fantastic because it couldn't go live last year. So that's all. I'm
coming down with my band again. So I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Peter, sorry, Peter, to interrupt. Peter, we got an email. They're actually revoking your passport.
They're revoking my passport.
We won't let you in, Peter. That's news.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it because we've been booked now for, whatever it's been, the last 3 years or something like that, and to actually get it's fantastic. Shetland's doing a festival this year as well, but it's scaled back a bit. But Orkney's going for it. They're going for it. So I can't wait. So we'll catch you then. We'll get a tune somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
And it's funny, you played with the Poozies at one point. You were one of the founding members, weren't you?
Yeah, I was with the Poozies for 20 years, actually. It's a really long time, but that's right.
Because the last folk festival I was at in Orkney 3-4 years ago, the Poozies, we ended up in Sandy together. The Poozies and my band ended up out in Sandy for a night.
Fantastic. That's a great time out there.
Oh, yeah. We had a night and a half. It was fantastic. I even had a track in my album after it called The Sandy Strip the Willow because I just couldn't believe it. It was just jumping. The whole place was jumping. It was great. It's really, really good. So, what did you do in the lockdown, can I ask? Did you do a lot of composing or what did you get up to?
I was writing a little bit. What I decided to do, I'd already been teaching a little bit by Skype.
Okay.
So I started to teach by Zoom, and that really started to take off because everybody wanted things to do online. So I started teaching privately on Zoom. The children here, I teach 4 young boys, and they're about 11 now. But it was amazing how they adapted. It was absolutely fantastic how they adapted. Because you think that would be quite tricky, But so I did that by Zoom, and I started doing fortnightly Zoom workshops for accordions. And that's still going on now. And Karen Tweed joins me with those as well. So that's been fantastic, actually, the whole technology thing and getting people to do kind of distance learning, really, to just keep.
I found it interesting. I found it interesting as well with teaching, obviously, accordion in the schools in Shetland that we had to move online. And if anybody was apprehensive about it, I don't know if you found the same, but I found that parents were actually very apprehensive about it, thinking it possibly wouldn't work. And it's just because they're not so tech savvy as the kids. I mean, the kids to have a lesson online wasn't unusual to them because they sit and speak to their pals by video link and things. And
I think once some of the parents started using it though and started getting to know about it,
that's
how they started to get much more comfortable with it as well.
So it's probably helped them learn a lot as well. And I just always think back to the Star Trek days when we used to watch it as kids, you know, and they used to have these things and speak to somebody over a video, and you think, wow. That's never going to happen. And look at it.
In our lifetime, we're ever going to see people. And here we are all talking to each other from 3 different places. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's right. And we're going to talk about where you are in a wee while up in Orkney as well. In a wee while. But before we do that, you done this track, I think, with Edie in the lockdown. And it was one of the collaboration things that we were all up to, kind of style thing, trying to put things together, get a tune online. Did you sit and play this live together at the same time, this one, then?
No, what happened was I spoke to Tim on the phone and we just discussed some tunes, and I videoed myself doing it, and then he put his video while listening to me at the same time. I can't even begin to tell you how many takes that took. It just took so many times. It's so far, and you go, oh no. Then you make a mistake. Oh no. It just took forever. I did it over about 5 days. I was almost losing the will to live. Actually,
you know something? I don't envy you because it's not a straightforward set for a start, and it's a long set. So,
it's a long set, but also when you video, I don't know if people have done this at home, but if you video yourself, it's one thing playing to an audience who react to you. But when you're videoing yourself, you've got no feedback at all. It's just completely dry. It's completely dead. And it wasn't even Tim to play. If Tim had been there, it would have been great, you know.
Yeah,
it's a really tricky thing to do. It's not as easy as it looks, you know, by any means. That was done many, many, many times.
Folks, when you watch this, you're not going to think that because it looks incredibly straightforward and as if they've just sat and played it. And please keep sharing, folks, because you're going to love this music tonight. It's fantastic. We've got Karen Tweed on with us just now. So here's Karen and Tim Edie. Great.
There we go.
you very, very much.
Karen.
Take care.
Brilliant.
Very, very good. It's the folks out there, if you've got any comments, keep them going in. We love to know where you are. If you've got anything you want to ask, I noticed David there saying, gosh, you'd think that was an Irish button box. That was going to bring me to another bit in your story of music here. And also sounds a wee bit Northumbrian pipish, which would hopefully cover a mistake I made last week when I said at the end of the show, we've got Karen Tweed coming on from Northumbria. Now, I don't know why I had that in my head, but I did. 10 minutes after the show, Gary Peterson, banjo player, dropped me a text to remind me kindly that you were originally from London and Edinburgh, and so Gary sorted me out. But Irish, you actually went to an Irish button box player for lessons as well, didn't you?
I did. When the first time I started playing folk music, I was going to a teacher called John Whelan, who is now in the United States, but he is a button box player. He couldn't read music, and he couldn't play the piano accordion, and he didn't play bass. So everything was done completely by ear. And so that was, and he was an amazing teacher, and I still use some of his ideas now in my teaching. He talks a lot about the space between the notes. It's more important than the notes themselves and where they're placed and all that kind of thing. So he was quite a hard teacher, but he was amazing, and he taught me a lot about rhythm. And he eventually went and emigrated to America. He was living in Luton at the time when he was teaching me, and when he emigrated to America, I was really sad because my teacher was going away, and he said to me to put away all my accordion CDs. Well, they weren't CDs then, but LPs in the loft. And not listen to them and listen to other instruments. And if I could mimic other instruments, then I'd start to become a good accordion player.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense, doesn't it? You're just broadening. Well, there's been no lack of that in your career. You've done that a lot. You've been involved with a lot of collaborations and.
Yeah, the Northumbrian pipes thing is funny because one of the first bands I played with was the Poozies, and also with Catherine Tickell. So I was playing with Catherine Tickell for quite a long time. So that's interesting that the gentleman picked up on the Northumbrian, could have been on the Northumbrian pipe thing. So maybe something rubbed off there too. I don't know.
So when you went through that, then, was there anything you kind of really honed into that you really liked as a style of music, apart from, say, traditional? Was there something you liked? Do
you mean when I was first playing? Or as I went along? I mean, I love
as you went along as well. Did you grow into something that you really liked? Or?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it was all Irish music, all Irish music, all Irish music. But there was always a thing which was called the Continental Style, where people were playing some of the French musette waltzes and things like that. And I always thought that was really an interesting, something completely different. But it was quite part of Irish music. A lot of people would play on accordion some French musette waltzes, simple ones. So I started getting interested in those, and then through Catherine, she took the band to Sweden, and I started getting very interested in Swedish music, and ended up playing in a band with 2 Swedish fiddle players. So it was just really interesting the way people harmonise in different ways and play with accordions. And the Poozies, for example, playing with 2 harps and accordion, that's quite an unusual, at the time it was an unusual idea. Harps wouldn't play with accordions usually, so that was quite a lot for me to learn on that one.
And it all worked, and it all went very well, though. It was a good, the Poozies have been an establishment now, really. It's just
and they're still going. It's fantastic, it's brilliant. And I do see Mary and Patsy, the 2 original harpers from Edinburgh, a lot.
So after Corby, did you go straight to Orkney then? Were you in that area and then moved up to No?
No. After I went to art college in Leeds, I went to Leeds Polytechnic to study art, and because I was told I couldn't study music because the accordion wasn't a serious instrument, and I didn't have a second instrument to play. So I just decided not to do music, basically.
It's unfortunate because we've been against that all our days with this accordion thing, and still a wee bit. It's getting better now. We're getting into it that we're allowed to.
Yeah, and you can study the accordion now, which is great. I mean, that's fantastic. You study it in London. You can study it as a folk instrument as well. So that's great that you can do that in over Great Britain and Ireland.
If you'd studied banjo as your first, you would have got in.
Yeah. But I remember with Associated Board, they've never had a syllabus for accordion.
No, Karen and I were talking about that the other day, that has never happened. And it would be great, actually, if it did, because that would then put it amongst all the other instruments and be seen as...
And the couple of times I questioned it, they said it was they reckoned that accordion playing was a very area thing. But like if there was an instructor in an area that was very successful, he'd have a good crop of pupils, but the next county might not, kind of style thing.
Oh, I don't know about that. I would question that one. I think that's a very tenuous argument.
That's a while ago. That's a wee while ago now, they told me that. But it did amuse me that they had syllabus for harpsichord or something like that, but none for accordion, and
I know.
And I don't know about you, but I really don't know that many harpsichord players going about. There's not that many having a tuning pubs at night.
But it's got to be addressed at some point. It really has, because
it would be really nice if it was. Maybe we need to gang up on them, Karen. I'm in your gang if we do this.
Well, you mean Karen Street? Then we'll gang up on everybody.
yeah, we'll do it. So so you went to art college. I was going to mention that later on, of course, because you. See, since we started this show 2 years ago, it's been absolutely amazing how many people we've had on. Not everybody, but how many musicians are artistic as well. It's quite interesting. We've had quite a few fiddle players on, and even Robert Matheson, the piper, who was on, and he went to art college as well. Which is amazing. There's all these wee stories coming out, but people like yourself, and then Marie Fielden, and there was all these different folks coming out. Pete Clark, Pete from, and it's quite amazing. But I think you're maybe the first accordion player artist we've had on. So I think that's good.
Very good. Moira Green's also a very good artist. She's really doing very well at the moment. She's got some great painting. She's got her own painting studio now. So that's doing really well.
We haven't had Myra on yet, but we will be getting her on sometime.
We'll get her to show you her art. She's great. Really, really good.
Fantastic. Now, so Leeds, where after Leeds?
After Leeds, I went down to Brighton and I did a teacher training course to teach. I know it was all over the place. I taught art for a couple of years down there. Right. And then I met up with a guy called Roger Wilson in a session, and he asked me to play on his solo CD. And I'd never done anything accompanying songs before. I thought he just wanted me, because he's a fiddle player as well as a singer-songwriter. Right. So I was going to play tunes with him, and he said, you're going to play some songs. I said, I don't do songs. But he guided me through that. And through him, I met Sally Barker, who was talking to Mary and Patsy about forming this band called the Poozies. So that's how that all kind of got. And so I left. I was living in Hastings at the time, so I left Hastings and moved further north, and then met Ian Carr, the guitarist, who was then playing with Catherine Tickell, and they gave me a call and said, would I dep for them, because they didn't have an accordion player at the time, just for a few weeks, and then I ended up joining, and that was a big changing point in my life when I was 26. Started playing music. That
would be good. Ian's a wonderful player as well.
Oh, he's amazing. He's so very, very, very unique style of playing the guitar.
So what I'm working towards here is you have now ended up in Orkney, though. How long have you been in Orkney now?
I've been in Orkney for 4 years now.
4 years.
And I came up here. I came up for the winter school that the Wrigleys, Jennifer and Hazel Wrigley, were organising, and they asked me to come up and play. And people were saying there wasn't an accordion tutor here. They couldn't get an accordion tutor for their Orkney traditional music project. So I just suggested I came up for a few weeks to teach and have a break. And while up here, I just thought, why don't I stay? So that's what happened.
The Orkney traditional music project's a great thing as well. I was down tutoring at that, just the summer school, but about 10 or 12 years ago. I've done it 2 or 3 years in a row. Wonderful thing, but really nice for them to have somebody there that can tutor all the time now.
Yeah, and well, I'm now not teaching for them, but they've got David Bowen teaching for them now, which is lovely because he's based here.
But are you still doing private tuition?
I'm still teaching privately and by Zoom and everything. So that's
okay. So if anybody's looking for lessons, best way to get a hold of you is through the website.
Through the website, you can contact me, no problem. Through the website, there's an email address there.
Fab, and if anybody's looking for some. So this took me to this little track that you put together. And it was it's a quiet place, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all to do with the open days in
Quite
Scotland.
practice, sorry.
Yeah, it was all to the open days in Scotland, and they asked artists to come forward and put together a little video about where their quiet place of where their place of practice was and what they did. So it was my response to that, really.
Yeah, so I think this explains how much you like Orkney, to be honest, when we hear this. It's good.
Here we go.
I am Karen Tweed, and in making this glimpse into my place of practice has been illuminating. I've loved playing and creating music for over 47 years, and I have drawn for several more. I see that I love small places, and within these places my practice has grown. Small spaces enable me to focus on tiny things while drifting into imagination or exploring dreams. To live in Orkney underlines the connectedness of opposites, small spaces, immense skies, music and silence, observed lines, emotive colour. It's a feeling beyond words. My music colours my drawings. My drawings can dance because of my music. And I love seeing that here.
Yeah, lovely. Really nice. It's a great thing to do. I think I should make my students do something like that. Go out and actually explain themselves what they're doing. That's a great
Explain themselves.
Explain themselves. Come on.
Why have you not practiced? Explain yourself.
Can I ask, what can I, when you're teaching, are you quite happy to teach people by ear as well as music, or a bit of both, or?
Yeah, I'm very. That's where I'm probably most comfortable, is teaching people by ear. But I can teach from notation as well. There's a lot of people who prefer to have notation because their background is using notation. So yeah, either.
Yeah, I'm fairly similar, the same as well, and I think it helps develop individuals' own styles for them playing by ear. To be honest, because they don't all become little computers all playing exactly the same thing kind of style thing.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's right, and I think it's good to have both skills. If you can have the notation skills, it's great, because there's so much you can download from the computer now, and you can read the music. But then if you can get away from the music, then you can start to hear how you would want it interpreted. Really, that's all.
Yeah. I loved the thing in your bio, and folks, you can read Karen's bio if you go onto her website, the full thing as well. But Davey, this is. I'm siding with Karen here. I like this wee quote that she prefers ink to PCs and slippers to stilettos. And I'm the same. I'm the same, Davey.
I thought you liked stilettos.
No, I knew. I'll lead you there. I knew you would go there. So you're thoroughly enjoying living in Orkney now. I just think Orkney's a lovely place, and I love, even for Shetland, we're that bit further north, but I love coming down to Orkney, and I find the people so fantastic, warm people, and I also like Orkney's. I think Orkney's got a really diverse taste in music as well. It's
very diverse. It's great here for that. Yeah, anything goes really. Yeah, there's a lot of traditional music, obviously, but there's a keen interest in jazz, and there's blues and singer-songwriters, and it's just brilliant. It's fantastic, actually, and big classical stuff, obviously, with the St Magnus Festival.
Yeah, that's right. Because the blues festival, it's good too. Because we don't have a blues, we had one at one point in time, but as I said earlier, I think the folk festival is going ahead, and then we have the accordion and fiddle festival. That's in October time. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, that might go ahead. Who knows?
And a new project I'm involved in is with Shetland, with Margaret Robertson, the pianist. So I'm really we're playing at the Orkney Folk Festival, myself and Margaret, on the Saturday night as part of the Scandinavian concert. So that's going to be great fun having that to play with you.
And you guys brought an album out as well just recently.
We did, as well, didn't you? It's called Island Girls, and it's all our own compositions. Margaret's an amazing composer, got some great tunes, so we had great fun.
Oh yeah, just books of them now. Really lovely. She's Margaret and I used to teach in the schools together, so I used to see her just about every day, and then we did the same degree together. We went to the University of Highland and Islands and done our degree together in the same time. So it was quite interesting. So, but she's gone on and does all the tattoo stuff and all that kind of stuff now. So it's big time plan. But nice to get the album out. And I noticed you were going to come up to Shetland, but you had to cancel that night. Was that a COVID related?
It was COVID. Yeah, all the COVID numbers were going up again. So we thought it's just pointless, really. It was just too nobody would come out. It'd be too worried, and you don't want to put people at risk either, usual thing.
There are some things starting to pick up a wee bit now, but people are still just a bit wary, and it tends to be an older age group that follow a lot of the music, traditional music.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not going to happen.
Be a wee bit cautious and
quickly, is it? Yeah.
I understand them with that. I found this little track on the internet, and I love it. This is a tune called "Apples from Fred." What's this about?
Apples for Fred. When I lived in Ireland for a little while in County Longford.
And, we forgot to mention Ireland as well.
Just about everywhere, really. But there was a little field where they used to put horses who were recovering from operations and things, just to get them back into grazing and looking after them. And I just noticed that as long as you called a horse Fred, it would come over and you could feed it. So maybe it's just the voice, I don't know. So I was always feeding the horses carrots and apples and things. So that's why it was called Apples for Fred.
There's a load of Shetland ponies up the road for me. I'm going to try that tomorrow. I'm going to go up and talk to the Shetland ponies and call them Fred. Right, this is brilliant. But I would say this is in that kind of Frenchy Mazzetti type style.
Yeah, it's a kind of thing. I think it was that Christmas I'd been watching Mary Poppins, which I hadn't watched as a film for absolutely ages. And I felt it was very Mary Poppins, but nobody else can hear it. Maybe it's just the way my brain works.
I love it. It's great. It's a really brilliant thing. Enjoy this, folks. You will. Fantastic. I love that combination there. Really, really nice. What a nice little combination. I noticed Katie there on saying earlier on, I'm 15 years old and I love traditional music. That's what we like to hear, Katie. That's brilliant.
Yep.
That's fantastic. And Kenneth Mackenzie. Kenneth was a guest on the show 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's brought an album out as well. Piper, mouth organ player. And he's having a Stockton's Oakgate while he's listening to you. So he's living the dream, he says. That's rather nice. That's good. That was a great track. Albums, Karen, I noticed you've got about 6 albums for sale on your website just now anyway. And the newest one is on there, The Island Girls. And if folk want to buy them, the best place to go is to www.karentweed.com.
That's the one. Yeah, they can get them all there.
They can do downloads for there and all that sort of thing as well, can't they?
Yeah.
Well, there you go, folks. If you would like to go and purchase any of Karen's CDs, I'm sure she'd be quite delighted to put them in the post to you. That'd be super. Projects, what have we got in the horizon? Anything coming? Because I forgot to tell the folks at home, you tutor in Newcastle for the degree courses, and you go to Ireland as well, don't you, to tutor?
Yeah, before lockdown, I used to go to Ireland once a semester to go and do some tutoring there, and also to folk degree course in Newcastle, which is great fun. So I don't know when that'll be happening again, but they did it by Zoom as well in Newcastle, where you can do the Zoom things. It wasn't so much in Ireland. So,
that'd be great fun going over to Ireland to get a.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. I know the director, Noel Keegan's a really great flute player, and old friend of mine. He's really, really good. And I've met Manus there a few times as well. So that's always great to do. So mainly I'm concentrating on the teaching and still writing my little tunes away all the time. And hoping to do a little bit more with Margaret Robertson on this Ireland Girls album. And we'll see what happens, because it's quite tricky at the moment because of the number of gigs people are trying to get people to come out again and do all of that stuff, really. So it's a bit of an open book at the moment to see what's going on. Yeah.
Because you have tune books out as well, don't you?
I've got tune books, yeah. I've got one of my own tune books out, yeah, and I've got a sketchbook of mine out as well. I published a sketchbook of drawings around Orkney, so that's there. You'll see that on the website too.
Well, there you go, folks. That's definitely something you should go and have a look at Karen's website, and you'll be able to see what you could get from her, because it's been wonderful having you on, Karen. I can't believe we're nearly through an hour already.
No.
Really brilliant. But you'll be ready for a cup of tea and sit down with your feet up after this. Carry on all week. So,
thank you very much for doing this program. It's a fantastic. The model I play at the moment, David, of my accordion is a Pagini 72 bass 3 voice. That's what I play. Pagini 72 bass 3 voice. Yeah. So take up the accordion. Take up the accordion. It'd be great fun.
Pagini were made in Sweden.
No, Pagini made in Italy. They're all made in
Italy as well. Yeah.
Peter, you're getting Pagini and IKEA mixed up.
That's right, yeah, Peter.
It's easy done. We're going to play out with a track here. Yours, the Midsummer May Monday. All the M's for us there. Tell us a wee bit about that.
Pianist Timo Alakatila from Helsinki.
Yeah, tell us a wee quick bit about that one before we go.
I played in a duet with this great pianist, Timo Alakatila, who's based in Helsinki. He's a composer and performer and arranger, and we were playing together for many, many years. And this is the latest album from that. That was before lockdown, called Midsummer May Monday.
Fantastic. Listen, thank you so much for giving up your time on a Sunday night to come on and waffle to us, Pear. We do the waffling. You were doing the sensible talking. We're the professional.
You're doing a fantastic job. I did a slow session on Zoom for most of lockdown, just for people to join in with, and it's great what people were doing all over to get people to join in. It's lovely. It's really appreciated.
Hopefully, see you down at the festival, and we'll get a tune. That'll be really good.
Great. And enjoy Manus, because I'm sure you're going to have a great time with Manus McGuire.
You take care and stay in good health.
Cheers.
Take care.
All right. Thanks so much.
Bye,
thanks very much. Bye now.
Cheers. Fantastic. And amazing music, beautiful music. I love that. Sounds really, really good. Brilliant to have Karen on as a guest. Fantastic. What was I going to mind and say there? Oh, Vi Todd had dropped me a wee message there, and she said Leonard Brown and Maggie Adamson playing this afternoon at Milnerthorpe. And she said the Shand kids were on today, and she says they were just amazing. So a big shout out to the Shands.
Yeah,
great.
I couldn't do a gig with them supporting me because I know they're better than I would.
I would be a bit scared, I think. They always said that. They always said, be careful who you have as a support act, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, thanks very much to Karen Tweed there.
I'm surprised that you're still talking to Vi after this comment.
About me wearing stilettos.
Well, exactly.
God,
exactly.
Could you imagine me in stilettos?
I don't want to. I don't want to.
Don't think about that, David.
No, I'm trying not to. We've got that image.
Our next guest sitting backstage here, just waiting to come out and speak to us. And this man's one of the nicest chaps I've ever met, and known him for many, many years now, since he was coming up to Shetland. And he's just one of these chaps that makes you happy all the time. So, and he's got good, nice things to say. So here, let's bring on Manus McGuire. Hi, I'm Manus.
Hi, how you doing, Peter? Hi, Davey.
Hi, Manus.
How are you getting on?
Pretty good. Very good.
Right.
Very good.
Is it,
nice and relaxed here in County Clare, on the west of Ireland.
Yeah, have you had a nice day there today?
Oh yeah, we've had lovely weather. This past week has been just gorgeous. Blue skies, lots of sun, and warm temperatures for this time of year, like 16, 17. It's lovely.
Well, you know, up here in Shetland, it's been a bit windy and it's still pretty cold, I'm afraid. So. But you get. I know you get lovely weather up there too, and I see all of my Facebook friends in Shetland. They're sending lovely photographs. So I know you're getting good weather too. Yeah, but the only thing about a photograph is it doesn't tell you the temperature, does it? Sometimes.
No. Yeah, that's true. Very true. Yeah.
But anyway, listen, lovely having you on tonight. We're going to have a nice chat and we're going to play some music. But one of the bands that you've been involved with just lately was Full Tilt. Now, you and I were speaking about this just before we came on air, that Full Tilt, you kind of done a full tour in Scotland and then lockdown. That was the first full tour and then lockdown.
We're a bit unfortunate in that regard. We did I think it was 16 or 17 day tour in Scotland at the end, Scotland and into Orkney. And actually, I met Karen, your last guest. She came to one of the gigs in Orkney. And that was just in November, going into December 2019. And you're right. 3 months later, lockdown came. Pandemic. But that was a lovely tour. And Gemma Mcdonald, who you all know in Shetland, Gemma is the other fiddle player in the band with me, Alan Small on accordion, and Brian Nicholson on guitar. And Gemma did some piano as well. And during the concerts, John Weatherby did all the sound for us, you know, John. And he got us around all the venues. And we had this idea that we just pick the best of over the 17 or 18 venues. And we did that. And, you know, we were happy with how it turned out. We called the album Full Tilt Live. I mean, what else could you call it?
Well, I think Big John's been doing the Neil Gow Festival this weekend. So
I see that. He's down in Vernon. Yeah. I saw that. And he's, by all accounts, he's having a good time down there.
I bet there's been some musicians there.
Super, super, yeah.
I think it'd be good. So what I thought we'd do is start off where we track here from Full Tilt, from the tour. You managed to get some videos done. And we're going to do Gary Kennedy Castle is the first set we're starting with, isn't it? Yeah.
Gary Kennedy. It's a set of 3 hornpipes. Gary Kennedy Castle was written by a man called Paddy O'Brien from County Tipperary, not far from where I am here. I'd say we're only less than an hour away. And he's passed away now many years, but he was a fantastic accordionist. Button accordion is, as you know, the popular instrument here in Ireland rather than piano accordion. And Paddy O'Brien was a button accordionist and he wrote some great tunes. And this is one of his great tunes, Gary Kennedy Castle. The second one then is one that Gemma wrote. It is a very kind of a a mouth-watering title. It's called The Swiss Swashing Wisher Washers. Now, I know you're going to ask me, or you probably should ask me, what's the story behind this? Basically, I heard her saying on stage each of the nights that it relates to a very tumultuous return trip back from the hydro in Crieff. Herself and Alan were playing there. And on the journey back, the weather was just horrendous. And the wipers were going all over the place. I think the two of them had to get out of the cars and start working stuff with the wipers. So the Swiss Swashing Wisher Washers is the name of that one. It's a great tune written by Gemma. And the third one is a traditional hornpipe that we all play called the Belfast hornpipe.
Magic. Let's have a listen to this and we'll talk lots later on.
Okay.
Lovely swing. Lovely swing.
Thank you.
Great guys to play with as well, Alan and Gemma and Brian.
Oh, they're fantastic. They're some amazing musicians. I mean, from the tip of their fingers, music is everywhere. They're just great.
Yeah.
And all three of them are back in Shetland now. As you know, Gemma's from Whiteness, and Alan's down near Cooper, but they've moved up now very recently to Scalloway, and Brian is up in Yell.
He's up in Yell, yeah. I was going to see Brian this week some point, actually, and then I haven't seen Gemma and Alan yet for a week or two. But
you'll catch up with them. I'm sure you will soon. Yeah.
So everybody's there now that things are starting to open up a bit and the daylight's arriving again. It's quite nice.
Yeah. And, well, we're hoping for better times ahead, of course, and I mean that's everybody's wish is that will happen, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
I'd love to get back.
All we can hope that it does. Tell us, man, where did your musical journey start? Where did it all start?
It all started, I was born in the Irish Midlands in a place called Tullamore. And I suppose you'll have heard of Tullamore through Tullamore Irish Whiskey. Okay. And but then very early on, I was only about 6 or 7, my mum and dad moved up to Sligo. My mum is from there originally. So I have my growing up years in Sligo in the northwest. And that's an area that you may or may not know is there's a very strong musical tradition there, especially fiddle music. Fiddle and flute, concert flute is very popular in Irish music. I know it isn't played as much in Scottish music, but in Irish music, the fiddle and flute would be a very regular combination. And up in the northwest, in Sligo, Leitrim, Roscommon, all that area, there's a big fiddle and flute tradition, really top-class players. So I was very fortunate to grow up there in Sligo. So that was the origins of. And then when I was a little bit older, maybe when I was in maybe 18, 19, 20, I moved down to live in Galway, further down the west coast. I was there for 5-6 years, and then I was over in Canada. Then very shortly after that, I spent the most of a year in Canada, coming and going, and got into all the Canadian waltzes, playing all those tunes in Ontario. Yeah, and it was from there that the group Buttons and Bows arrived.
What took you to Canada then?
I was it was actually kind of more like vacation. I was taking breaks from college in Galway, and I just wanted to get over there. My brother was living there at the time. He's 5 years older than me. He's also a fiddle player, and so I just wanted to go over and meet up with him and play some tunes with him. So that's what brought me there. He was in Toronto. He was working at a hospital there in sick kids. He was studying to be a pediatrician, and so that's the background there. So and I was.
What was it you studied? You studied.
I was studying medicine as well. Yeah. So that was my art, just like Karen's art earlier on was the painting art and all the visual arts. Mine was in medicine, and I wanted to be. When I was 18, I decided I wanted to have a career in medicine. So I did medicine. I studied it and got my degree when I was 24, 6 years later. And then I worked as a general practitioner. I wanted to be my old, independent rather than staying in hospitals. So that's what I did, and that's what brought me down to Clare.
To be fair, I think the art of reading a doctor's handwriting is probably good enough as well.
Yeah. Yes, I know what you're referring to there, Davy, and a bit like Peter earlier on the stilettos. Maybe you're going down a rabbit hole here. And don't go there. But you know something, Davy. Just as you mentioned that, it's something that I take great pride in. I can write pretty good writing, I think so. But I know in general you're right. The doctor's prescription is something not good to read.
Yeah, well,
handwriting not good.
We're going to talk about how you learned and things in a minute or two. It was very interesting. So really, you've been a GP. So did you really use music as a hobby, kind of?
Yeah, well, I was playing. Yeah, I obviously at the beginning years, I was doing that, and all vacation that I was taking was music related. So tours that I was doing, I was playing with different bands, Moving Cloud, Bronx McGuire band. Most of those tours were US based. And Buttons and Bows, the group from Ireland, of course, with Jackie Daly, the accordion player, my brother and myself, and Gary O'Brien. So that group, you probably heard about them. So there's it was. And then now I'm doing music full time, so and have been for the last 5-6 years. So full tilt. So I've been involved with a good few groups, and I've done lots of solo work as well, solo albums.
Listen, let's have another track just now. This next track we're going to have is a beautiful tune, and I think it's one of Gemma's as well, isn't it? It's Walking with
It is.
Angels.
It's one of Gemma's. Yeah, beautiful air called "Waltzing with Angels."
Yeah,
Walking with Angels. Sorry, Walking with Angels, and it's a beautiful air, and we have it on the album, and I know that's one that Gemma is very proud of. We'll
speak about the album as well, and the next bit, and guide people where to purchase it, etc. So,
okay,
here's Walking with Angels. This is beautiful. You'll enjoy this, people at home. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Hopefully
Walking
you
with
guys,
Angels.
yeah,
What a great tune.
hopefully you get-
Gemma has written some really some great tunes.
yeah. Hopefully you're going to get back on the road and take this out to people before too long again, because it's well needed.
Yeah,
Sure.
we would love to, and we're planning on. I know that Gemma is working already on the idea of getting a tour together for later in the year. As you probably know, she and Alan had a little baby girl there not so long
Yes,
ago,
yes.
and that is probably just limiting them getting out and about now. The little girl is called Vela, and but I mean, yeah, certainly later in the year we're planning to get out and tour this
that'll be
album.
great. That'll be fab. When you started learning, what age were you when you started the fiddle then?
I'd say I was only about 8 or 9. I was very young.
Right, and then you were successful in competition when you won the Fiddler of Dooney. Is that right? How you say it?
That's right. Yeah. Fiddler of Dooney. I was only 14 when I won that competition, and I suppose after that I just really wanted to play much more, and I got an opportunity. Luckily, when I moved down to Galway, while I was still studying, I was able to get to play loads and loads with some brilliant musicians around Galway. And then just as I said, started all the different bands, Moving Cloud, Buttons and Bows, all that after.
Well, remember, folks at home and wherever you are in the world tonight, let us know where you are. We always like to know where you are. And there's David Vernon saying hello. Davey's a good pal, always.
Oh yeah, I know David. Yeah,
he's good. So
he's a good guy.
Please keep your comments coming in. If there's anything you want to ask Manus or anything like that, do so. Send in the comments, and if they're nice, we'll sort it out for you. So once you won the competition, did you do a lot of competing, or was that a kind of?
Yeah. There was a lot of competitions when we were kids. I mean, there still are. You might have heard of the Fleadh Ceols that we have in Ireland. It's music competitions, at underage, under 8, under 10, 12, so on, right up to senior. And that you have it in fiddle, accordion, all the different instruments. And then you have duets, trios, céilí bands, all that. So the Fleadh Ceols are very popular. I mean, at the Fleadh Ceol, at the actual finals, you play in your local county Fleadh first of all. And if you qualify then by winning or getting placed in that, then you go to the provincial finals. Like there's 4 provinces. There's Leinster, Munster, Connacht and Ulster. And then if you get to your provincial final, then you get to the All-Ireland series itself. So the All-Ireland final takes place in different venues around the country. It's usually the final takes place in August. So whichever town gets it every year it's a real pride of place. It's a great honour to get that. This year it's going to be in Mullingar in the Midlands. And it'll attract about maybe 400,000 or 500,000 people.
Wow.
They come from all over the world too. A lot of Americans, Irish Americans, a lot of people with kids playing at a really high level, coming back to Ireland to play, and they get to compete by winning the American championships. They get over. So it's, as I said, there's huge numbers of people involved in it.
And do you get involved with adjudicating some of that stuff now as well? Then?
Yeah, I have done that. Yeah, and I've adjudicated at the Fiddler of Dooney competition as well. Right. And it's a pretty onerous task because it's adjudicating can be it's a real minefield in many ways because it's very much a personal opinion, as you know, Peter.
Yeah.
And how you perceive that person to play on the day. So but it is down to your judgment on the day, of course. Yeah. But you always try to be as fair as you possibly can.
Well, once you ended up establishing yourself in bands, etc., you recorded about 15 albums now between different bands.
Yeah, 50. I think so. Yeah.
And 3 solo albums yourself as well.
3 solo albums. Yeah. The first of those was in 2000. I recorded that. It's called Saffron and Blue, and I recorded that.
Is that 2000?
Is that what?
Really? I can't
back
believe
in 2000. Yeah. And then I had Dennis Morrison on piano.
Yeah.
And recorded it as I've recorded nearly all my solo albums in Pencaitlan and Castlestown, Stuart Hamilton, of course.
Yeah.
And that was that one. And then in 2006, I was back to do Fiddle Wings. And then just in 2018, I was back in the studio doing the Copperplate sessions. And I had a lot of guests that you'll know, of course. Brian Gear came down, Tom Orr did piano, Marie Fielding co-produced the album with me, and Neil McMillan on bass, Duncan Finlay on guitar, We had a whole bunch of people, and Emily Flack doing song. She's a Canadian singer, songwriter, and dancer and piano player. So I had a whole bunch of guests.
And the Copperplate sessions, actually, and this happened by chance. Last week we had Ellie McLaren on, the fiddle player.
Oh, yes, I know Ellie.
And Ellie happened to mention that the Copperplate sessions was one of her biggest influences. She said, "Is that right?
Okay, I didn't hear that. That's lovely to hear that. Yeah,
she listened to.
She's a lovely young woman. She's lovely, Ellie. Yeah.
So really nice to hear. Was it America, Buttons and Keys? Is this next wee video we're going to have is from?
That's from a television. It's called Buttons and Bows, Peter. Buttons and Bows. See, my brother and I, we were the bows, and Jackie Daly was the buttons. So that's how the group got its name. And that was this video that you're going to play now. I think is from it's a TV program from Irish television, not the regular RTE 1 or RTE 2 channels, but it's called TG4, TG Car. It's very equivalent to your BBC Scottish Alba. Same idea. So promoting traditional arts.
I also noticed Irene Jimison from Leavenwick saying hi, Manus, to you as well.
Oh, yes, lovely.
Oh, that's wonderful. Here we go, Buttons and Bows. Lovely stuff, this. Great stuff, man. Wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was your brother playing with you then, was it?
Yeah, that's my brother playing with me, and Jackie Daly on accordion, and Gary O'Brien on mandocello. And the three reels there were, let me see, the Boyne Hunt. That was the last one. Free and Easy, The Boys of Malin, and the Boyne Hunt. 3 Irish reels. Yeah.
Brilliant.
And you saw the name there, Buskakiol. That was the name of that television series. And Buskakiol is the Irish word for the accordion, the box.
Right, okay. Oh, fantastic.
Brilliant.
So,
brilliant.
It must have been great fun doing all these things as well, though. But do you not find Irish music has, compared to Scottish music, I think Irish music has been far more publicised. That's what I'm managing to get at. I think it's more aware. People are more aware worldwide of Irish music than Scottish music.
I possibly, Peter, and I'm not so sure why that is, but you're probably right there. And certainly in America, yes, there's traditionally there's been emigration from Ireland to the US, very much so. But then, having said that, then a lot of Scottish people and Shetland people, particularly, have emigrated more towards New Zealand and Australia. Although there are lots of Irish in Australia and New Zealand now as well. So it might be one of those things that, depending on where you are in the world. But yeah, Irish music probably is better known worldwide. Of course, the whole phenomenon of Riverdance that took off in 1994, that brought our music totally global. I mean, Irish music is now played all over the world. I was doing rehearsals last week for upcoming gigs here in Ireland with a young Japanese fiddle player. She's living in Galway, an hour north of me. She's a wonderful player of Irish music. And she's born and raised in Tokyo. You know what I mean? There's no known why that should be.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? Because I heard about over in the Western Isles, there was a young lad learning fiddle there in the Western Isles somewhere, and they were doing a lot of remote learning. Well, the family moved back home to the Philippines or something, but he still gets his lessons every week from the Western Isles with his fiddle.
Isn't that fantastic? Yeah.
It's amazing, but I just wonder what the neighbours think.
Yeah, I know.
The neighbours in the Philippines said, "What's that boy up to this time? What is he doing?"
Yeah. Where has he been?
Mrs. Rassi is getting bashed out. That's quite fun.
Oh dear.
But and we've seen you all over the place. Did you enjoy touring places like America?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I enjoy touring so much. Most of the touring I've done, apart from Scotland and Shetland, has been in the US, definitely. And I've been all over the place in the US. And, and traditionally, as you probably know, Peter and Davy, Irish people were immigrated to, you would associate New York, Boston, Chicago, loads of Irish in those cities. But some of the best bit of touring we've done in the US, just amazingly, has been down south in places like Louisiana, Texas, Alabama, places that you wouldn't associate at all with our music. But we've been very, very fortunate to have had great success down there. Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, one of the best friends we've ever met touring over the years, a great man to meet, and obviously a hugely influential person for us to continue touring was Ricky Skaggs. And I was playing with Brock McGuire Band. We recorded an album in the studio for a week, an album called Greengrass, Bluegrass. It celebrates the whole connection between Ireland and America, particularly Kentucky and Tennessee. And he brought in all the heavy hitters in Nashville that he was working with at the time, Brian Sutton, Jeff Taylor, Aubrey Haney, all these guys. And we were so fortunate to go into the studio and record this album with them for a whole week. So it's just amazing, the connections, the whole connection thing is just incredible.
And when you went to certain areas of America, then did you find it was just incredibly Irish, that the traditions were just as strong there musically possibly as they were?
Oh yeah. Well, particularly in the cities I mentioned earlier on, like places like New York, Chicago, Boston. Boston is full of Irish. There's 4 million people living in Boston. It's said that 2 million of those are of Irish descent. Wow. Yeah. Amazing, So there are some places you go where it's very pronounced.
The best place for people to get your CDs, etc. now is to nip onto the website, Manus. Is that right?
The website, manusmcguiremusic.ie, and to get the Full Tilt albums, the best way there is to go onto that website. It's simply www.fulltilt.band. Okay, it's an unusual .band, I know, but it's just fulltilt.band. And all the Full Tilt album is there.
Davy's got onto it already. Look at that.
Well done, Davy. Yeah, good man. That's it. Yeah.
I was making sure I didn't spell tilts wrong.
Oh no, you got it right.
Yeah. When was the first time you came to Shetland?
My first time in Shetland was, would you believe it, September 1986, Peter.
86.
And I was a young fella at the time, and I went up on the boat with Davy Jackson. Do you remember Davy?
Yeah.
Who used to play with Curlew? Yeah. Davy brought me up and he said, I had met Davy earlier the first group that I heard from Shetland, would you believe it was Gaster's Dream? They were playing in Galway one night in the early 80s. I think it was earlier that year, actually. Malcolm Green, Debbie Scott, Kenny Johnson, Jonathan Burns. I forget who else. There was about 2 more of them in it. And I loved their music, and I got on really well with them. And I went up with Davy Jackson on the boat. Davy was living in Arbroath at the time. And we went up on the boat and just, we had an amazing time up there. And I said, I'm going to have to come back here. So I was invited back then in the following year, 87, with my brother and Gary O'Brien to play at the Shetland Folk Festival. Yeah. And I've been going pretty well every year since then. Well, most years.
Yeah, you've been a great regular since then. Yeah. And I know I've heard Brian and you having tunes together as well, Brian, Gare and yourself, and it's just amazing.
Oh, yeah. What an amazing guy to play tunes with. I mean, just phenomenal, And I love Shetland. It's my second home, Peter. Many people know that.
That's it.
Taylor's Joy, our next track. Tell me a wee bit about Taylor's Joy.
Yeah, well, actually, Taylor's Joy is a tune that I wrote for a man that I mentioned a moment ago, Jeff Taylor, who lives in Nashville and plays with Ricky Skaggs. And Jeff was the one who kind of coordinated the whole logistics of that particular album, Greengrass, Bluegrass. And he's a brilliant musician. He plays piano accordion. He plays with a whole bunch of different people. He's toured with Elvis Costello, with Ricky Skaggs, with a whole lot of people in the Nashville area. And so I wrote this tune for him by way of thanking him for everything that he did as regards putting that album together. And the second piece then is one that's written by Canadian fiddle player April Virch. It's called the Thomas Fraser Memorial Waltz.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Enjoy these, folks. nice. Really nice.
Thank you.
Lots and lots of nice comments coming in tonight saying how much people are enjoying this. This is really
That's nice to hear, Peter. Yeah, good.
Any plans? That's why I wanted to ask you. Do you do tutoring as well, then, Manus? Do you tutor?
I do. Yeah, very similar to Karen earlier on. During the last 2 years, or most often, well, actually 2 years this week. Yeah, I've done most of it is teaching. I do Zoom lessons, and most of the teaching is it's not so much private lessons. It's more things that are organized. I was doing teaching at workshops at a festival in Dallas. Doing concerts and teaching with it as well in Portland, Maine, and then doing into Tune Supply in New York City, doing some teaching there. So that's what I do, and I really enjoy that teaching aspect.
So how does that work in time zone wise? Then are you teaching at strange times of
night?
Yeah.
Well, not so much. No. For the States, it's 5 hours behind. Now Dallas is 6 hours behind us, but 5 hours. So we can work. I can be teaching the evening time and there, the afternoon. So it's no problem. Yeah.
Brilliant. So, because you said the last 5 or 6 years you've been full time just playing music now. So
full time, music now. Yeah. That's what I'm doing, and I really enjoy it. It was just unfortunate that it has been halted in the 2 years.
Yeah.
I know in the wider scheme of things, it's only a small thing, but later this year, I think things are certainly looking up for all of us, and hopefully we get going again and get out there. Live gigs.
Some of the young players that are just starting out, they've had a really bad start to their careers, if you know what I mean. It's 2 years knocked off. All we can hope is that they've been practicing lots and got even better.
And I'm sure they have, and that they're getting a chance to maybe just sit back and look at what they want to do. It was a kind of a time to reflect and just see where you're going. I know a lot of younger people might be interested in doing that, but you'll be surprised, that people that'll take it on board too.
Yeah. So have you got any projects on the go just now that you're
Yeah, I have. I was telling you there a few moments ago that I'm doing rehearsals with this Japanese fiddle player. Her name is Marika Naito, and she's based in Galway. So I'm lining up a whole bunch of gigs with her here in Ireland, herself and Gary O'Brien doing mandocello and guitar. And so that's on the pipeline now. And then later on, as I say, later in the year, hopefully Full Tilt will get going again. I know that Gemma's working on something there, and if we can get any of those venues again. I mean, the venues, when I think about that tour, starting off in Bankery, Elgin, down to Haddington, Thropton, Newcastle. We had a great time down in Newcastle in the north of England, and then Wick, Kirkwall, McClour, Dundee. We were in your town, Davy. We played at the HMS. We played on a boat there, the HMS Unicorn.
Yes, the lovely venue.
Yeah, we played there at the very end of November that year, 2019, and the tour ended then in early December in Dunblane, in the Victoria Halls. So if we can get some of those venues again, or other venues all around, this was great. We had a lovely gig in Strathmiglo. Strathmiglo is lovely.
Strathmiglo, in Fife, yeah.
I'm sure you will get all the venues again. And actually, I don't know if you felt the same yourself, but when I went on stage for the first time again, it didn't actually feel like 2 years since you'd been there, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like, it's like I'm just home again kind of style thing. Here we are.
Yeah. Here we are. We're back again.
Yeah, something flashed up the other day on my phone to say that it was 2 years since we started playing the lockdown tunes, and you were like, wow, really, is it that long?
Yeah. I remember when you started those, Peter. That was great that you did that.
Funny thing.
What you should do at the next gig, like the first big gig you do again after all this, you should walk on. The first thing she says, that toilet queue was long, wasn't it?
A good one, David. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, Manus, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's been
delighted, Peter. Thanks.
Having you on. You're looking well. Lots of folks saying, hope to see you on the road soon again. Hope to see you in Scotland. Hope to see you in Shetland. And I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
And,
sure we will.
So
and thank you for contacting me. And it was just amazing when you mentioned the date, Peter, March 20th today. I know you got on to me some time back. I said, oh, then why not? Wouldn't it be appropriate to? It is, after all, the week of St. Patrick's Day. We had St. Patrick's Day here the other day.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
great celebrations. And of course, our two countries went head to head yesterday in the rugby, Ireland versus Scotland. So it was just great. Maybe we shouldn't talk about that. But I was delighted to do it, Peter, and thanks for asking me. Thanks, Davey. Lovely to meet you.
I did watch the game, and it didn't quite go to plan for Scotland.
It didn't go. No, it wasn't a great game overall. To be honest, it really wasn't.
It was a bit of a shame as well. I was hoping the Irish would get it, to be honest, but then the French came
at
night.
I know they pipped us last night. Yeah.
That's what happens. It's all
That's it. It's all in the game.
We're going to finish off with a wee set of reels here, starting with Willie Hunter's tune, Lorna's tune. Can you remember?
Oh, yes. Yeah, Lorna's Reel. That was the opening track on the album, the Full Tilt Live album. Lorna's Reel, written by Willie Hunter, of course, for his sister. Yeah. And then the second one, Ross Cooper's tune, Jemima. And then the Addie Harper tune, the Baraban Reel to finish.
Yeah. Baraban Reel. Listen, Manus, thank you so much. Can't wait to see you in real life again somewhere.
Cheers, Peter. That's great. Thank you.
We'll all be playing music before long again. So, on behalf of Davey and me, on behalf of all the audience, thanks for coming on. It's great.
Thanks so much. Cheers now. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Manus.
Here we go.
Brilliant stuff, eh? Brilliant stuff.
Fantastic, as always.
What a nice chap, man. It's really nice fellow. That's been a fabulous night, Davey. I've enjoyed it. So, what's on this week? Anything exciting?
I'm back to work this week.
Ah, no,
We're off a
again.
week. Yeah.
This work gets right in the way of everything, doesn't it?
Everything. If it wasn't for work, jeez.
I've got 2 weeks left, and then we've got 2 weeks holiday.
2 weeks holiday.
School teacher thing, you know. Folk love it when we say that.
Well, yeah. I bet they say, I pay your salary.
Yeah. But listen, it's been absolutely wonderful having Manus McGuire on there, and earlier on in the show, Karen Tweed. Thanks to both of them. It's a great night's music. As we can see with the comments coming in, everybody's enjoyed it.
Now,
we've got two cracking guests for you for next week as well.
Yes. If you've liked fiddle and accordion this week, we're going to have fiddle and accordion next week.
We are. And we've got next week, we've got on fiddle from London, we've got Ian Robertson coming on. Ian's another nice lad, great composer. First time I ever met him was when I went to Lewis and Harris with Bill Black's band many years ago. And Ian was in the fiddle. And we also have a friend of mine that I've known for years and years and years and years, even longer than Ian, Paul Capaldi, the accordion player. Paul's a wonderful accordion player from the famous Capaldi family that came over to London, but we'll hear all this story next week. And they were actually professional accordionists in the theatres and that, and they toured about.
You're telling me that people paid them to play accordion?
People did pay to hear accordion, yeah. And I think they used to do things like they used to stand up in theatres and play like all the modern hits of the day on accordions, kind of thing.
Like Achy Breaky Heart?
Like Achy Breaky Heart on the accordion. But there we go. So I'm really looking forward to having Ian on. Oh, there's Mary's in. Ian's on, yeah. Oh, that's good. We've made Mary's day. Ian's a lovely guy. And he wrote me an awful nice polka in the lockdown as well and sent it to me. When I was dyeing my hair all the different colours, he sent me a polka.
Is that your Billy Connolly face?
Yeah, so there we go. So anyway, but that's been utterly brilliant. Oh, here's Luna come to say good night. Oh, there she comes. Yeah, she's a bit fluffy just now. There she is.
Good night, man.
Yeah. Doesn't look too stressed out, does she? Anyway, so Ian Robertson and Paul Capaldi next week. We're going to have another great show. I think you'll get off, dog. I think you'll really enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. Anyway, you take care,
and you,
David. And there's Irene Jimison saying, look forward to your interviews next week as well.
Yep.
Irene kens all these people because she's been in folk festival committees and accordion fiddle club committees for years. She knows all these people. That's good. Right. Take care. See you later, folks. Everybody out there, stay safe. See you later. Cheerio now.